Hey everybody, welcome back to Royalty Room Podcast. It's Legal Queen LA, and today we have a LA West Coast legend, Sallis Money, in the building.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Glad to be here.
Really, thank you for stepping from BTS to
In front of the camera?
Yes.
I do when I'm invited. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Anytime I'm invited, I will always, show up and have conversation. But, I also don't seek it at the same time. So, it's always going to be an authentic opportunity because people will have to ask me.
Yeah.
Once you ask me, I was like, sure. When do you want to do it? There was no running around or trying to figure. It's like, what are the availability? So yeah, anytime people want to, I do it.
Which leads us to where I met Sallis was at Jay Brock's Clap It Up LA panel, which was super amazing. I was literally the whole time the boys were up there, the men were up there. I'm just like, wow, yeah. And I'm looking at my sister. She's taking handwritten notes of everything you guys were saying, and I'm like, this is really good. Obviously, I was part of the women's panel, so I didn't get to take in as much. I was just kind of focused on being up there and
of course
figuring out what to say. But that, I've heard about you before the panel.
Well, that's good. Hopefully, positive things.
Horrible, the worst. Listen, the worst possible things. But for those who don't know, you are an artist manager, talent manager.
Talent manager, yeah.
And as far as my knowledge is, you have one of the greatest, not up and coming, but already came up, Zoe Osama.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a rapper. We have West Coast legend DJ Head. And media personality extraordinaire, cutie Gina Views.
Yes, Gina Views.
That's your starting lineup. Are you managing anybody else?
Or? Yeah, so I have another recording artist named Alexis who signed to Bootleg Kev. He's a Mexican American urban.
I know him. Yeah. It's Alexis, but it's spelled with the XC.
Yeah, XCIS. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been managing him for the last year or so, and I've known him since he kind of got in the business, but officially started managing him last year. I also work with Chuck Dizzle, DJ Head's partner at Homegrown Radio. And then I have some producers that I manage as well.
Wow. So full service.
Full firm.
That's exciting. Honestly, I know I have a lot of different hats, but I think people like us are crazy enough to want to manage other people's lives. And I was talking to someone recently, and I was just like, do you know how big of a blessing it is? How big of a wow moment when you realize someone put their career, which is their life, in your hands.
Yeah.
There's so much trust behind that.
It really is.
You've been doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Over the last year. I can't speak for before that, but every single place I go, every single time I scroll online, it's one of your talent that's kind of taking over the internet and the entertainment industry. How do you do it all?
Well, the way I do it all is I actually first of all, I genuinely love what I do. Right?
It shows.
It's I'm not one of those people who needs to I don't have vacations, I don't do anything else. I don't even party much. Actually I don't party at all. I genuinely love what I do. So it's coming from a real place of passion. And I'm also a fan of the people that I work with. I don't just work with people for financial opportunity.
Right.
I'm genuinely a fan of what they do, and then come from a place of wanting to help them, make it bigger and scale it and help them become the full potential of who they are. But it's just a place of passion. I literally just love what I do. So, and it's all that I do. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that, a lot of people don't know. I've been a full-time single father of 2 daughters, 2 girls.
Can we? I'm gonna steal a Jay Brock. Can we clap it up for that? Because my daddy raised me by himself, and that's no easy task.
No easy task.
Girl dad.
So career and being a dad was all that I've done and whatnot. And I literally just in the last couple weeks, literally as of last Thursday, dropped them both off in college. They both went to different colleges.
Wow.
So I moved them in and did all that, and so now it's now I can really just focus on just work and whatnot. But I genuinely love it. It's a real. I feel blessed every day that I get to do this, even with all the BS that comes with what we do, right? And there's a lot of it. I love what I do every day. I just love it, and so it's not hard to do it all
Exactly.
because I really want to.
And that's like one of the reasons why I literally said people like us, because I have been I've been getting a lot of feedback on my platforms and all of the things that I'm doing online, unsolicited advice
Of
and
course.
critique, but someone who's really close to me, know me almost my entire life. He's like, if I'm looking at your page, I see two artists that you care about more than you care about yourself, and sometimes you like to be sexy. Like that's what it gives. And I was kind of like taken aback, but it was just like, you're right. I do care about their career. I don't know if it's more than myself, but it's something like I'm naturally a nurturer, caretaker. Like I manage everybody's lives around me.
Hmm.
And it is something that I love to do. I tried to run away from it for a while. Like I got asked to be Shank's manager back in 2020, 2021. And I was just like, oh no, I'm a lawyer. I can't do
Can't do
that.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm busy. And it kept just finding me, and I kept doing like managerial things on accident without even thinking about it. So I'm just like, bro, I just can't keep running from this. I just have to go
I
on.
was the same way. I hadn't managed artists until last year. I
Mhm.
managed Zoe and Alexis the same year, within like months of each other. But I hadn't managed artists for years because I was just over it,
Mhm.
and I was like, let me just stick with media and producers. My life was so much
Yeah.
easier,
Oh
so
yeah.
much less chaotic and whatnot. But it had been it presented itself in such a way. The artist was like, oh, I think it's my time to like get back into it
Mhm.
with what I know, the information that I have, the experience that I have, the relationships that I have. I can do it at a much better and higher level now. But no, I wasn't. I was avoiding it too for several years.
Yeah.
So I
'Cause
get it.
there's a lot of horror stories, and that's another way that I'm blessed because the talent that I manage, Air, The Prophecy, and Shank, like they're just so I don't get to experience the craziness that other managers have dealt with,
Mhm.
like I don't have to force them to go perform. I don't have to beg them to be in the studio because they don't feel like it and they're
Exactly.
having a like this prima donna moment. Like I don't have those types of horror stories that other people do. And I feel like that's kind of the reason why everyone's like, don't be a manager, you're gonna be a mom. You wanna
Mhm.
just take care of these people. Well, that's what I do,
Exactly.
so why not? But manage you do a little bit more diverse management than
Mhm.
myself. What is it like having to do you have to like switch gears often or
No, because I feel like it's all the same. It's like there's one experience happening and with different. So right now there's like three cameras on right us, right?
Mhm.
And no matter what we're talking about, there's always gonna be a camera on, and that's kind of like the hats that I wear. So if I'm managing an artist, right, I also manage producers, so that's easy. I can find, I can source the beats, blah blah blah. Work on the music. Once the music is done or whatnot, then they have to do media as well. I know the media people. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it's all the same business.
Mhm.
I'm just doing all of it. Where most people specialize in one, I do all of it. From like I said, producers, media, artists. I'm touching every aspect of it, which allows me to have a much broader knowledge base than the average manager because I know the different roles that it takes
Yeah.
for different talents to be successful. And so I don't have to. It's not really switching gears. Like I can literally be on set with DJ Head at the bigger picture, get a call from Zoe, step outside, handle that, step back inside, while he's filming that, take another call, and then with my producer JR, who just is getting a placement somewhere else, and then hop in the car, me and head go over to Sirius to do effective immediately. It's just my life.
Ongoing.
It's just ongoing, and then end up in the studio later, working on the next album for Alexis or Zoe. Like it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I do struggle on what day it is because like the early part of my days can be like administrative stuff.
Mhm.
So I wake up like most people, in the morning, and then I can have a whole second half of the day where I'm either in the studio or going to events and whatnot. Well, that becomes a long day, and I can't believe that that was all like one Monday.
Yeah.
Are we sure that
Yeah.
wasn't like Tuesday too? It's like no, that was all just one
Uh-huh.
Monday. So sometimes I do get when I look back, what day did something actually happen?
Everything is a blur.
Everything's
Everything is a
because so many things
blur.
happen in one day.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have long days, but that's just because I am wearing so many different hats.
Mhm. It's a a lot of people aren't built for
Mhm.
this. Is there a lesson or an advice that you would give someone before they decide to go full force ahead into the managerial aspect of things? Because it is a huge undertaking, no
It is a
matter
huge
if
undertaking.
it's one person or 10.
There's two. One is make sure whoever you're going to work with has the work ethic to be successful, even if you weren't going to be around to help them.
Mm, that's big.
Because you can't, we get a commission, we get a piece, but we don't, we're not 50-50 partners on their career.
Yeah.
So I can go hard, but you're dictating the pace of your career and
Right.
whatnot. And like you said, I shouldn't have to ask you to or beg you to get into the studio or beg you to, come perform or any of those things. Like these are things you should want to do.
Yeah.
So work ethic should be on the artist or the talent side should be number one. And I'm blessed that everyone I work with has tremendous work ethic.
Mhm.
Um, the other thing is now more than ever, if you're going to be a manager, especially in the music space, learn the entire business because you have to interface every aspect of that for your artists now, especially with labels consolidating and shrinking departments and whatnot. So you should understand how publicity works and how it's different than digital marketing, and then the difference between promotions, which is still doing radio and whatnot, and then who within the company who takes you to the DSP. Or to a podcast, is that going to come from the publicity side, or is that going to come from the promo side? Like, who has that relationship? And you should have those relationships. You should learn that stuff. And learn, how publishing works and all these things. Learn the full scope of the business. So that way when you're working alongside a partner, distributor and or label, you know, you're knowledgeable to have educated conversation about it. Like you don't just hand them everything and be like, all right, now make us famous. It's like, no, how are we working this? Like what are the goals and whatnot? And so, with my artists and whatnot, like I had so many relationships in media outside of my own clients, I could help get, interviews and whatnot during the promo run.
Right.
And I was working with both a publicist and working with, the promo team on that kind of stuff. Like I was being value added.
Yeah.
So I would tell any new manager, learn the business, like really, and ask questions, whatever you don't know, because a lot of it you can't necessarily get out of a book. You have to literally experience it. And so sometimes you have to ask older, established people and whatnot, get advice, but then find people that if I wasn't around, you're gonna work your ass off anyway.
Yeah.
So I might as well help
That's so
you.
true.
I might as well, come along with you because you're determined.
Mhm.
Like you said, there's nothing worse than seeing someone who's amazingly talented and feeling so entitled that you can't get them to do the things that they need to do. And it's like, yo, you're crazy talented, but why is it such a struggle to get you to do, or why are you pushing back on
Yeah.
everything? Why is everything a struggle?
Cause it's not my career. That's in
Yeah,
the lights.
yeah,
It's
it's
you wanted to
yours.
be an artist.
You
I didn't ask you to do that.
exactly. I didn't pluck you
You
out of.
applied for the
I didn't
job.
pluck you out of obscurity and be like, yo, you should be an artist. Like this is something that you'd say you chose to do.
Right.
Why is it being such a struggle to get you to do it? So I care about work ethic more than I do talent.
That's
Because
good.
I've been with amazingly talented people and nothing ever happened because they just didn't have the work ethic or they didn't believe in themselves or there was a level of self sabotage within them or whatever, right? It's like,
That's big. I feel like in the entertainment industry and in Los Angeles itself, I feel like imposter syndrome
mhm.
and self-doubt is a huge, huge problem.
Yes.
Like it's hard to overcome sometimes or kind of. So have you ever felt things like that, like self-doubt or imposter syndrome?
100%. And then I'm a pretty arrogant guy. Like I know I'm smart and I'll feel like,
Okay, period.
I'll be like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. And then I think about people that do it that are dumber than me. Right? And so when I'm having that moment, I'm like, why am I having that moment? A lot of it is just because I haven't experienced that
Mhm.
specific thing yet. And I just need some information. So, maybe I'll just Google a term that I've never heard. It's like, well, I've never heard anyone use that term
Right.
before. What does that mean?
You could chat GPT anything.
Yeah, and so, I'll just Google it and be like, oh, this is what this means. And a lot of it is just, getting some information. And once you get the information, it's like, oh, you feel a little better. And then be like, yo, and let me have this initial experience. And it may not be like great because I'm still learning
Yeah.
this aspect, but I'm built for this. I may not get it 100% correct, and I give myself grace
Yeah.
because I've never experienced it. But then once I experience it, it's like, oh, I know what this is now, and then I go forward. But anytime imposter syndrome usually is you're in a realm that you're not used to because you haven't experienced it, and you're doubting, can I do this?
Yeah.
Always believe there's someone dumber, stupider doing it.
That's so good.
When you think
That's
about that, when you
good.
think about and you've encountered them, it's like, well, that guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
And he's having success with this particular artist and whatnot. And he's an idiot. Like, okay, if he can do it, I think I can probably figure this out. And we can figure it. I mean, the music business isn't rocket science.
Right.
It just isn't.
It's interesting,
Mhm.
but definitely not science.
Yeah.
That's good though, because even if you're not like literally like, oh, that person's like not as smart as me, like at least it gets you out of that like slump and you can giggle about it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like going on stage and imagining everybody in their underwear.
Exactly.
That whole thing.
Exactly.
Even myself, like I'm literally an attorney. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, I can't do that. I don't know how to do math or whatever. It was just like, you went to law school. You passed the bar exam. Like, what are you doing?
These are things that actually happen in life. You know what I'm saying? And when we give ourselves credit for what we have done in life, we realize I'm actually a very capable person.
That's hard sometimes, though.
Yeah.
It's hard whenever you're trying to climb a ladder so like quickly, or like the mountaintop just seems like so far away. It's hard to just like look back and be like, I did all these things, when you're looking at, I still need to do all
Exactly.
these
We
things.
never look back. We always look, ahead and whatnot. From time to time, take a look back and be like, oh wait, this has actually been done. And I'm terrible at it. Like, I don't celebrate my victories. I don't celebrate my wins. Me and Head talk about this all the time. We've done some things and we don't even like fully like digest what we've done because we're so goal driven and so ambitious that there are times we look back and it's like, yo, we've actually kind of done some shit out here.
Yeah, so now that you mention, this has been an incredible summer for the West Coast as
Yes.
a whole. And I think it's kind of cool that I get to not be from here and experience everything that's been going on. And also, I have like friends and family from all up and down the East Coast
Mhm.
that, still support me and stuff. And they have no idea what's going on here or like what a big deal some of these things are. So like you guys have had an incredible summer.
Yeah, yeah. It's been amazing, and it's been a long time coming because a lot has been happening. There just hasn't been a spotlight on it.
Mm.
It exists.
And like I feel like we talked about, maybe it was around BET or Juneteenth, so one of the like big weekends out here. And we were both like, yeah, whenever we process what's been going on, then we can talk about it. And that's one of those things like you didn't even like, oh yeah, we just did the Kendrick and Friends pop out, but like, okay, what's next?
Well, what's funny is I didn't even get a chance to actually process it, right? Because that night happens, that day happens, right? By that night, I'm working with Head's publicist on, media that
Mhm.
is reaching out and whatnot, right? And so I'm coordinating media looks and media things with the publicist and him and whatnot. And so that, so Juneteenth was the 19th and whatnot. Well, Zoe Summer dropped his album the 28th. So
Mhm.
we're going into
BET weekend.
BET week, right? So Juneteenth was, I think, a Thursday. By that Monday, Zoe had an interview with Sway in the morning at
Mhm.
like 7 a.m. and whatnot. So I go from Juneteenth publicity for DJ Head right into BET week / album promo week of Zoe Osama.
I'm stressed out.
I never got a chance to
Yeah.
process the pop out personally. Like, I
Right.
never, and then it just kept going and going, and then family stuff and all. It's like I never got a chance to like truly like process that until weeks later.
I was gonna say let's process it right.
Well, our friends got us together and we had like a fish fry and we watched it again, and I got to watch it like from a fan's perspective and be like, yo, that shit was kind of cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That was kind of cool. You know what I'm saying?
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, I like to give flowers where they're due. You are doing a phenomenal job
Thank you.
with your career, but also the lives of everybody else's careers. Like it's just mind blowing to me. Like I feel like and I don't like to compare people's successes, but I feel like this summer was over the top, overwhelming, out of control, like just nonstop for me. And, we've been doing so many things, like, you always see me, like, doing a different
Mhm,
event, doing a d
mhm.
whatever,
Yeah, you
but,
stay
like,
outside.
for you, like, I'm just really proud of everything that you
Thank you.
guys have been doing and working towards this summer, like, every single person on your team is just reaching newer and higher heights, like, every single week. It's another thing. And then also I wanted to talk about, I didn't know that you manage Chuck, right? Chuck
Yeah,
Dizzle as
mhm.
well. I didn't know you managed him as well. Whenever I've heard of him, I've heard, him talk and stuff before, but before the panel, I didn't really know much of his story. And so for you three, you, DJ Head, and Chuck Dizzle to all be on that same panel, that's also really cool. Like, you have a team of really powerful people and
That
really,
was dope for us to the 3 of us have never shared a stage like that.
really.
Not all of us, no.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I be trying to tell Jay Brock, like, you are doing something so
Mhm.
good for this community. Like, I feel blessed to have been a part of something like that. He has, like, just handpicked amazing people to give, like, inspiration and tips and tricks and tea. And I feel like there's some just really upstanding, talented, and good people, um, that you are building and molding, and,
Thank you.
of course, it comes from the top. Nobody likes to think about the manager or the lawyer or the whoever, but, like,
Yeah.
it starts from somewhere.
And my inspiration is to, do good work and not seek the publicity of it, but
Mhm.
the work will publicize me.
Itself,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, and over the years, it has done that and whatnot. And like you said, you had heard of me prior to actually meeting me, and I'm, in the last couple of years, I've been having to like get used to that.
Mhm.
People coming up to me and be like, "Oh, I know who you are." Like they'll be like, "Oh, are you Sallis?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm like,
Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. I don't
and
know. Y'all keep hearing the man talk, but you don't really know he's really, like, a legend. Um,
and it just comes from really like just loving this and loving the culture and whatnot, and really just wanting to be helpful
yeah.
to the culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of things I do that I'm not officially attached to, but my DNA is all over.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's nice, like, for a change, like, the West Coast, talent is not just West Coast. Like, we're global.
Yeah. It's
We
starting. It's starting to finally like venture out, and people can understand it because people have always liked L.A. West Coast culture, but they were able to get it from other people who would
Mhm.
come in and tap in. Whether other artists would work with a DJ Mustard, or everyone comes here to shoot their videos, and
Yeah.
we have most of the recording studios and things like that. A lot, even some of the labels were like moving their heads of the labels over to the L.A. Like a lot of stuff was happening in L.A.
Mm.
I always say that, you know, America's like, biggest export is like pop culture,
Yeah.
right? We influence the world with pop
Right.
culture. Well, the biggest export city of pop culture is Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But
That's I just had, like, a whole image in my head. It's like everybody's coming here and sucking all the resources out of LA and then just, like, dip.
and that was something that bothered DJ Head and I was like, yo, people come here, literally bleed the resources and don't invest back into, what we're doing. So then our artists and our talent don't get the same shine and opportunity.
Damn.
And in West Coast and LA specifically is the one subgenre of rap music where people will say, "Oh, that sounds too regional. That sounds too
Mm.
West Coast. Sounds too," where it's the second biggest media market. What do
Right.
you mean? It sounds too LA. We get music from all other parts of this country, much smaller cities, and we never say someone sounds too any of those other cities.
Right.
But we say it about our city. It's like, oh, so there's this disconnect of not understanding LA, and people don't understand LA when they're not from here. And they get here and they're like, they think Hollywood is LA, and it's like it's not.
Right.
Hollywood is Hollywood, and Hollywood has its purpose, but it's not LA. And then when you get to visit LA and the surrounding cities, you realize, oh, this is the culture of the city
Yeah.
and whatnot. And so, what Head and I have been trying to push for the years is packaging the culture in a way that you'll want it from our actual talents.
Yeah.
And so getting back into artist management with Zoe, he like does that specifically. It's like, yeah, so you do that specifically. Now, Leanne, let me work with you as an artist manager for that.
Yeah. Okay. I think, I've only been here October makes 5 years.
Oh, okay.
But I started in the Valley. lived in Hollywood for a couple years. I lived in Long Beach for a little
Mhm.
while. I feel like I'm just now starting to really get a full picture of LA.
Yeah.
And like it's a lot to learn. It's
Yes.
a lot to see. I've been here again almost 5 years and I've seen nothing. It feels like because it's just so much. There's so much
And it's
diversity.
spread out too.
Yeah. Like LA County runs all the way from freaking Malibu to Long Beach.
Mhm.
Like those are like 10,000 different
100%.
LAs.
100%.
And it is weird that everybody, oh, that's to LA, that's LA, like that's LA sound, whatever, whatever. But like LA's super diverse.
Very
Like
diverse.
super. I probably I try to explain LA to people back home and they're just like, I don't get it.
And they don't.
Yeah.
And when people move here, I explain to them, don't come with a preconceived notion that this is gonna be like another big city that you're coming from.
Oh, I thought Cali,
It's
South Cali was gonna be just like Florida.
no,
Oh, absolutely nothing the
absolutely not.
same except there's like a beach somewhere.
Yeah.
That's it. But it's been an interesting time. I like to say I have a love-hate relationship with LA, but I couldn't possibly imagine being anywhere else at this
Exactly.
point. Like what would I do in
Mhm.
Orlando, Florida?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Like, we exist for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why we're here.
And everybody's kind of seeing it now.
Yeah.
Um, I think again, what we do is like really just really important. And something else that you mentioned like way at the beginning, you love what you do.
Mm.
And I feel like if there were more people who did what they're doing in their careers out of love
Yeah.
and operated out of love for their clients, no matter what industry,
No matter what.
it would be a lot better of a place.
100%.
Because everybody's trying to not just suck resources out of a place, but like suck all of the talent out of the people and like work them like mules.
Exactly.
I was watching did you ever watch, it's a Spotify, like a show about Spotify on Netflix. I think it was called The Playlist. And each episode was a different character who
Okay.
had something to do with creating the Spotify platform. And in the last episode, it was them going to court over literally not getting paid a dime off of their streams. And the artist was like, do you know the last time we had a like a minimum wage sweatshop type of thing? The artists are literally slaving away, creating all of the entertainment that you just want to consume and consume and consume and consume, and we're getting paid sweatshop prices. Like, does that not make sense to anybody? And it's just easy to think about, oh, it's just music. It's just music makes the world go round.
100%.
Entertainment makes the world go round. The entire presidential election this year on both sides is fueled by entertainment and music.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy to me.
Yeah, utilizing the different talents and whatnot to get to the people.
Yeah.
100%. It's music has always been, influential. Music timestamps a generation,
Mhm.
right? And so no, we will always need it and whatnot. Yeah, we're having to try to figure out over the last 20 years or so what that business is looking like going forward.
Mhm.
But it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And the business of music isn't going anywhere. Like, you know, just as much as people can be independent, there's still a lot of the business that, people don't know.
Right.
So, you're like, yeah, you can do it yourself, but you don't know a lot of
Right.
the things that still need to happen. So you probably will always need a partner of some kind and whatnot. And
team.
a team partner as far as distribution, label, whatever, and whatnot. And, everything, matters and everything's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I will say this is the most diverse industry has ever been as far as how an artist can participate.
Right. That's true. That's true.
They can do a major label deal. They can go to TuneCore.
Mhm.
They can do something. They can get something going on themselves and then do Empire or go to the Orchard or what. I mean, there's all these different ways to participate depending on what experience you as an artist and you and your team want
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Or what the goal is.
And I think that gets lost in the conversation and rhetoric about streaming is, yeah, but there's so many other ways that you can have a career if you choose to have it in that way. Or you can, start off at a major, put out a couple projects, maybe it doesn't go so well, But the major invested some money into you, have some marketing, you have a new fan base, and then you can go independent.
Right. Right.
That didn't used to happen before you. When you got dropped, we never heard from you again.
Yeah.
There were no other opportunities. And so there's a lot of different ways to engage. So I'm not the, even though I'm older, I'm not the anti streaming guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not perfect, but this is, like I said, the most diverse we've ever seen. I mean, and there are literally independent artists that are legitimately rich doing music and people have never heard of.
Yeah.
They've never had a hit song, a hit record, anything like that. And they're, worth seven figures independently, whether they're doing it through DistroKid, TuneCore, or doing Empire or whatnot. And it's like that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
People don't
That's so true.
understand. It was hard to get physical distribution. I'm old enough to remember physical, like what it took. You couldn't get physical distribution.
Mm.
You know,
So I'm not gonna lie, music, entertainment, all the things, that was never like, I wish there could be a career day outside of LA because I feel like this happens a lot, but I wish there could be career days on like unconventional careers.
Yeah.
Because all that we get in high school, and especially from my dad, like being from a third world country and I'm first generation on his side, it's just like there's only one path
Yeah.
to success, and it's college and it's grad school and it's law school or med school, and then you do this and that's the rest of your life. Like I wish there was a career day that focused on things that were not taught in school, because the same path, just like in music, is not for everybody.
for everybody.
So I wish that could be like a bigger thing, because if I knew that what I'm doing now could be an actual career instead of like a hobby or a passion project, I can envision my life being a lot different. I didn't know anything about the entertainment industry or the music industry, et cetera, until my third year of law school.
Okay.
And I'm already way deeper than it's even remotely possible to back out now. You know what I mean? So then I was just like, well, maybe I can make a career out of the industry as a lawyer. So that brought me over here. And
Gotcha.
then it took the pandemic to shut the world down. And I'm at home with no job and no like anything to do. And my friend put me in a booth and like forced me to make a record. It was like, don't you want to work with artists? Shouldn't you figure out, how they feel and what they do? And of course, I'm leaving the booth. I was like, yo, this is why everybody want to be a rapper. Like, I'm gonna be an artist now. This is so cool. I feel great. But no, not that. But I am a creative person.
Mm-hmm.
I love creating, like whether it's, the flyers for the events or putting the event together or, just watching people do what they love. I wish I would have known sooner
Yeah.
than the last, like, what, 6, 7 years, because I feel like it's not talked about enough.
No, it's
We're
not.
in the industry, so we talk about it all day, but
It's not talked about. You showed that picture of me and Snoop, right? And I always tell people, like, you remember that movie Brown Sugar, where they're like the saying throughout the whole movie, "When did you fall in love with hip hop?" Right? I remember when I fell in love with hip hop, and it was
Ooh.
when I saw the video of Nothing But a G Thing for the first time, and I'm like, whatever this is, I want
wanna
to
be
do
involved.
that.
Uh-huh.
Now, I had no resources to get more information and whatnot, so I had to kind of figure things out. So that's when I started reading like liner notes and reading magazines and blah blah blah. But figuring out. But I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I still went to college and got a finance degree and did all those things. But it was always like, yeah, I'm gonna get that education and whatnot. But the end goal is trying to figure out how to get into this business, this
Right.
space and whatnot, and figuring out what that career is and whatnot. And what's funny is I'm known as a manager because that's what I do, but that's actually not what I really want to do. The things that I do, I managed to give me the opportunity to produce, to executive produce, to be
Mm.
involved in these other things that I really wanted to do. That's why I tried not to manage for so long, but the universe kept saying, no, you need to manage.
Yeah.
And then one day I'm in the studio and I'm working on the record and I'm like helping put the record together. I'm like, oh, this is what I always wanted to do. I didn't realize that I could do it from this perspective.
Yeah. That's so true.
And so that's why, now I became so much more open to managing and doing it because it allows me to do things that I really wanted to do, which is just, work on the project. So like if I'm with, Gina or Head and their productions, like I'm executive producing those projects, even though I'm their manager and whatnot. And when I'm, working with, artists and whatnot, I'm, either like A&Ring or helping produce the record or even executive producing the album. So I'm getting to do the things I really want to do. I just had to come through the portal of being a manager.
Yeah. Okay. That's dope. I feel like it definitely opens a lot of different doors, especially at the level that you're doing this. What my last question for you, what would be like your ultimate dream project or collaboration, either between your talent or like anybody? I know that's a big question.
I've done a few things. I've had few different experiences. My dream, I don't know. I mean, there's some legendary artists that I probably would like to be involved with one of their like albums to some degree, participate, like a Jay-Z or even a Snoop, but just kind of just doing what I'm doing just with a legend,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, and not worrying about how successful is just the experience of, I can worry about streams and sales with everything else. That's just like that experience,
Right.
in itself. But really, just getting just having the opportunity to be around the people that inspired me to want to even do this business in the first place,
Yeah.
and have a positive experience. Sometimes they say, don't meet your
Oh,
heroes.
listen, I'm a big Barb. I'm a huge Barb, one of the originals, but I'm scared to meet Nikki because I don't want my entire life to just crumble in front of me. Like, please don't be mean to me, Nick. I'm scared.
Exactly, and you've heard stories,
Mhm.
and there may be some truth to those stories,
Mhm.
and maybe there's some exaggerations, but you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Um, so there's that concern, but yeah, just being able, and in recent years, I've been able to work with the people that I'm fans of.
Yeah.
Snoop and E40 was on, you know, the underrated remix with
Yep.
Zoe and whatnot, and Zoe's got something cooking up with like Warren G and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And so and I've been able to just kind of be in these spaces and have these opportunities. So childhood teenage me is kind of being like, oh my god, I'm having this moment, but
And this is when we celebrate the wins. This is literally, I had that moment from the BET Awards. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. Usher was my first crush. And then I'm front row at the BET Awards
Mhm.
watching him get a Lifetime Achievement Award. Like, that is insane to
Yeah.
me. So we have to celebrate those wins and we have to like really um give ourselves grace
Mhm.
and take a step back and look at how far we've come. So
Yeah, and I should do better. You know, I tell people to do it. I don't do it myself.
biggest critic, you're always your own biggest critic. And also it's easier to give other people advice
100%.
because it ain't got nothing to do with you. You know?
I mean, and what's funny is when you know what you're trying to accomplish, the steps along the way to everyone else is like, oh my goodness, you've done X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, yeah, 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 but
Like, cool. We're past that.
yeah, like yeah, but I'm like trying to like get somewhere further along and whatnot, and so like when people call me a legend and talk about what I've done, I'm like, it took me a minute to like receive that. It's like I'm not anywhere close to where I want to be, and then I was like, oh no, no, I need to receive that. I still have ambitions, additional ambitions, but I do need to accept and receive how people see me and view me and appreciate me and things
Yeah.
like that. And it was like, okay, but I had to find comfort in that.
Yeah. I keep saying it, last question. But I have another one.
Oh no, I'm here.
How would you define legend or legacy? Like, what does that mean to you to reach that stature?
Um, I think when what you've produced and or accomplished um speaks beyond a generation,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
Whatever that may be. And so another generation who didn't experience it firsthand
It's still impacted.
impacted somehow, one way or another, right? Whatever you were able to do
I'm just
and
seeing Tupac in my mind.
yeah, right. And so so for me, it's not what I'm doing currently. Am I doing anything now that will have a ripple effect to another generation? Like I told you, what made me want to get in this business is nothing but a G thing. I want to create that moment for somebody else.
And we're still playing it
You know what I'm
because
saying?
it's a
And
legendary
maybe that
record.
moment was when someone saw, a Zoe Osama song or whatnot. It's like, "Oh my god, I don't know what this is, but I wanna do that." Maybe I've done it and I don't realize it, right? And I won't know until someone tells a story 25 years from now. It's like, "Yeah, I saw, Zoe Osama do All Money In and whatnot, and I had to, get in this business." I'm like, "Oh, we actually, like, impacted somebody."
Yeah,
But I think of legend or legacy in, like, that way. Like, I look at my children, my daughters as my legacy. What
of
are
course.
they gonna do? As much as, like I'm living my life, I'm like, yeah. But I tell them all the time, like, but I'm really more interested in what are you guys gonna do? No pressure, but I'm just genuinely interested. Like, what are you guys gonna do? Because I don't think what I do is all that amazing. I'm just going to work every day. But I'm interested in what are you guys gonna do? And who are you gonna become and how are you going to you know, integrate yourself into society. As with the Sallis name, they now are old enough to know that, oh, the Sallis name means something.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they wear it proudly, but they also understand it's like, oh, like this actually is something. It's like, yeah, kind of I'm building something with this name and whatnot. But I look at them as, like legacy. But that's what I think of legacy. Is like what legacy or legend, what speaks beyond the generation that you're in. Like I think there's people that are talented within a moment or a generation, but I wouldn't call them like a legend.
Right.
And then there's people that, like you said, like a Tupac or something like that. Like, I think what Nipsey was able to accomplish,
Oh, yeah.
he's got a legacy. You
Absolutely.
know what I'm saying? Like we'll still be talking about Nipsey, generations from now, from what he's done in LA, the marathon, his own music, blah, blah, blah. So that's how I look at legacy.
I love that. That was a great answer. And Big Salis, not the little one, Salis Money, um, living legend, even though you don't agree with that term. I'm learning from
I'm
you.
I'm getting used to wearing that term.
Well, you're gonna wear it and you're gonna
Hmm.
wear it well because you're inspiring me. And we're going to inspire the future of the BTS.
Hmm.
It's a
Everyone
lot that
behind the
goes,
scenes,
yeah, it's
yes.
a lot that goes on behind the
A
scenes.
lot.
So thank you for stepping in front of the camera. I
No
really
problem.
appreciate picking your mind. Y'all already know it's the Royalty Room podcast. Legal Queen LA on all platforms. Like, subscribe, comment. If you have questions for him, of course, follow him on all platforms. Salis Money, and I can't wait to see what happens next for the team.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invite. I had a good time.
See you next time.